Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Sarcasm Speaks. It's Jared and Bob coming at you. Um, no Ian McMillan, no Ian Macbeths. Today, I talked to him the other day or yesterday, and he has a indoor golf league every Tuesday night through like February. Um, so we'll have to just, he was like, I do, he was like, he goes, I definitely want to come back on. And he goes, but I just can't do Tuesdays. And I was like, yeah, we also do Sunday nights, and I'm not going to expect you to give
No.
up your Sunday night football to talk to us. And he was like, yeah, he goes, Monday nights work really good for me. And I was like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I was like, because I know you work like fucking 16 hours on Mondays.
Most Mondays I don't work late anymore.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's maybe one of
Most.
these weeks. We
See.
can figure it out. He mentioned good well, it's sort of unfortunate. Let me see. Maybe, I don't know. I'll see. Are you working late next Monday? It's like this coming the 23rd.
Not like the night. So I mean I could probably do the same time.
Yeah, maybe I'll see if he could do the 23rd because what he said to me, he was like, "Oh, I could probably do the Monday before the NFL playoffs start. So that would be January 6th. But so part of the reason why I
The
really wanted,
Epiphany?
yeah. Um, Part of the reason why I wanted to get him on like sooner, I was hoping we would figure it out today. Well, because he mentioned that he's going to be going to New Orleans for, oh, actually, no, we could still do that in January. Because he said he's going to New Orleans for the Super Bowl. So I listened to his podcast that dropped today, this morning.
I did too.
And he was like, "Yeah, if anyone's been to New Orleans or whatever." So I was like, we gotta have him on and we gotta give him the lowdown on definitely go to the dungeon."
I love New Orleans. It's not
Uh
for everyone, but
yeah. Well, I mean, we don't know him super well, but I think we know him well enough to know that he'll probably enjoy New Orleans.
well, I mean that's the other piece is whatever you want to get out of it, you just have to do a little bit of homework beforehand and then you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, go get a hurricane, right? It tastes like Robitussin, but I mean, get it done. Get it out of the way.
What's the thing too though, but I assume he's going for work, so I don't know how much he can act. Well, I mean,
I mean, that whole week is going
again,
to be a shit show.
yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if he's gonna be doing like the typical, itinerary.
Yeah.
Like start with the hand grenade, wander your way around, get a hurricane. That'll be terrible. Get a frozen one, it's not much better. And then yeah, I mean, I'm glad I never have to drink a hurricane ever again.
Yeah,
Because it was like
same.
I had my first and I choked one down with you guys so that you guys could have your first. I'm fucking done
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, dude, it's literally tastes like Robitussin.
Yep.
It's gross, but you get it
No,
done.
thank you.
So yeah, maybe we'll have him we'll get him on the 6th. Because I mean part of the other thing too is obviously um I want to ask him about like the wild season, right? It's just been a shitty year sports betting wise because it's been the public has crushed, right? So Sammy P talks about this, which would be interesting. I wonder, I'm sure he probably knows who he is. He might not know Sammy like personally.
He was on Chicken Dinner one time.
Oh, he was? All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So I figured they knew each other because they're both friends with Joe Ostrowski. Um, because I know Ian worked with Joe at Odd Shark, I think, back in the day, and then Joe Ostrowski and Sammy P host a podcast or a show together every day, actually, on BetQL Daily. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Ian Mac went on with him before.
Because I know Sammy P has talked about how like, you know, books have kind of been gotten crushed this year because the public has just been with like everything has been square, right? It's the year of the
Oh,
square.
so actually, and I heard someone, maybe it was his show, maybe Ian's. They said like a year and a half, which last year and this year I have felt no feel for betting
Yeah.
games.
Yeah.
And there's only been like most of the time, like I would see things a certain way and not like 55% of the time it's probably right.
Right.
Like,
Right.
especially when you were using the angles of like, okay, what's the narrative? What do people think? What does that line say? What do people trying to bait you into? So, like, for example, last week, who do the Commanders play? The Raiders?
Couldn't tell you.
No,
No, it's
Saints.
there's the
Saints. It was the
Eagles.
Saints.
Oh, they played the Eagles
Commanders,
this week.
Saints. So it was 7.5. Chris texts me. He goes, Washington minus 7.5. Any other year, I would have been like, no, that's fucking stupid. And my thoughts would have been, everyone loves the Commanders' offense. The defense is fine, average, I think.
Right.
The Saints suck. Everyone's hurt. They got no quarterback. They got no receivers. They're down to whatever the fuck. Like, if that was a true like line, it shouldn't be 7.5. So what happens? The fucking Commanders fucking almost piss it away and lose.
Right. Right.
So it's like, okay, so I saw that. Like that's normally a way I would have went. But all year I haven't been able to do that. It's like I see you would see the lines and go, this is a trick. They want you to go this way. Or it's like, hey, like the Cowboys. Like, nah, the Cowboys can't be that bad, can they? Yeah, lose by fucking double digits. Like Ian's team that's killed him is the Titans.
Yeah.
They move the ball pretty well. They play good defense. They actually do what they need to do to win these games, but turnovers, special teams, other retarded things, and they're 2-14 against the number.
Yeah.
Like the Patriots, since Drake May's been in, they actually like move the ball okay. And then he makes a retarded turnover.
Right.
And I think you're starting to see a lot more. Maybe it's that. I don't really know. This would be a hypothesis. It seems
Hypotenuse?
like definitely not C squared. I feel as though anecdotally, it seems like a lot of these younger quarterbacks or not as good quarterbacks, they have no issue moving the ball.
Hmm.
But the second the defense like either tightens up or they get close to the red zone or their first move isn't available, they fucking don't know what the fuck to do with the football.
Yeah.
So it's like Drake May moves the ball, turnover. Will Levis moves the ball, turnover.
Yeah.
Tua, when he doesn't have his first read, he is like a fucking bottom five quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
But he's won when he has his first read.
I think some of that has to do with the way college football has changed, right? Like college football has turned into basically everyone runs the air raid offense, right? So, because that used to be the thing like 10, 15 years ago, right? You would hear people talk about like, oh, this quarterback comes from a pro style offense, right? Like that was a thing. They called pro style offenses in college. There's no such thing as that anymore. There's
No,
like you don't hear anyone say, "Oh, this team runs a pro style offense." No.
no.
They're either Michigan that runs the ball 62 times a game or like Nebraska or Wisconsin, right, that runs the ball 62 times a game, like a better military school.
Yeah.
or a T, they just don't run the wing T, or it's the air raid, right? It's three, four, five wide, just go, right? Tight ends have become big wide receivers, right? I mean, like look at all these guys like Sam Laporta, Brock Bowers, Ben Sinnott, right? I know he hasn't done anything this year, but he's been behind Zach Ertz, but Trey McBride, Michael Mayer, right? All these young tight ends that are good, they're all glorified wide receivers. They're just giant wide receivers. Where's the where's the Ben Watsons, right? Like or I'm sorry, not because he was a bit of a receiver. Where's the Daniel Grahams, right? Where's the trying to think of some like good blocking tight ends from back in the day. Like
Calibrated.
Algie Crumpler, right? Like
Algie Crumpler could fucking at a point could catch it. No, it's the tight ends you've never heard of.
yeah,
Again, like Kyle Brady,
right.
um, whoever
Scott
else doesn't
Chandler,
matter. So I think the other piece too is a lot of these colleges, like, so the skill guys are just like so fucking fast now that the idea is put them in space. Just get
right,
them the ball in space. And I think Ian was talking about this today because I think this is the only NFL stuff I've kind of like heard. And he's like, the Dolphins just like won't run the ball up the middle. He goes, it's always about like getting it outside, whatever. But like, so it's
right,
like they have speed, get it in space. And I think the colleges are doing the same thing. Like, how can they open up for the receivers? And
right.
I think what that kind of does, again, hypothetic or hypothesizing now,
Hypotenusing,
when things get backed up or the defense actually knows what the fuck they're doing,
right,
then they bait you into thinking that there's space and there's not.
right.
And that's why you get these turnovers. And then also down closer to the red zone, there is no space.
Exactly.
So you can't get guys into space, which is why these guys might struggle with getting the ball where it needs to go.
Yeah,
But I also think you're getting a little bit on the coaching side too. Like the coordinators or these offensive head coaches, they're seeing it and it's like, oh, these guys are it's fast, it's speed. It's what would they surround? They were surrounded with speed, like get fast guys, like
yeah,
get them into open space. And it's like, yeah, but what happens when there is no open space or
right,
the team across from you can man up and actually run with your guys?
right,
Because the
right.
other piece is some of these cornerbacks can run right with these receivers. And so, yeah, I mean, I think you're getting some deceiving, because especially the way like Ian looks at his games, you could be getting some deceiving stat lines that have dumb shit that fucks it all up.
Yeah,
So, I don't know how many red zone picks Drake May has thrown, but it's more than two or three.
yeah, quite a bit, I think.
I think he's thrown a lot, but
Yeah,
I also just could be just thinking that. Um, yeah, like guys fumbling, guys, whatever. Like you move the ball all the way and then go home empty handed. Or, go for it on fourth down, don't get it.
right,
Move it on back. Like,
right.
I don't know. It's just it's been odd because there used to be, so I actually remember this game too. It was Steelers, Browns on a Thursday night. It was three, Steelers by three. And Country Chris texts me and he goes, why are the Steelers only favored by three? I go, because there's no reason. I go, because everyone loves the Steelers. They're playing great. The Browns suck. They're all hurt. They're not good. I go, the Browns win outright. That's how this works.
Yeah,
Browns won outright.
yeah.
But that was like
Didn't
the
I call that one?
first time. I don't know. Did you?
There was one of them that I call I something like that. I don't know if it was Browns, but there was a game where I said that. I was like, "Oh, take the other team on the money line," because everyone was all in on one team.
Was it recent? Because that might have been the Carolina game where they were talking about like how everyone was betting against Carolina, but they did not win that game out. It was the Chiefs, Carolina and the Chiefs, I think. And Carolina covered, but they didn't win. I
Yeah,
don't know. Doesn't matter. But in years past, you could look at it, see. who does the public or again, what are the narratives here? Like who does everybody love and who like everything here and who does everybody hate and who can't do it or they can't move the ball or this guy's what like and you just go against those narratives and it usually was okay.
Right.
And now it just seems like every good team covers and every bad team just kind of can't. And I guess when you get a mix like in the middle somewhere, where if you get Panthers Cowboys, like that one should have been so fucking obvious last week, Panthers Cowboys, because it was Carolina was favored for the first time in like years.
Yeah.
People think that Bryce Young has started to be good again, and the Cowboys suck. They can't. They get fucking killed. They're not good. They got no health. They got no quarterback. They got nothing. That would have been a typical spot where I would have taken the Cowboys. But I didn't bet it. But I think in the pool, I took Carolina because I'm like, Dallas is fucking terrible. They're absolutely and utterly fucking awful.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
like,
It was Ravens Browns. I found it in our text group on October 27th. It was, I said, the entire fucking world is on Ravens minus 8.5. I told Vinny Browns were gonna win outright. And I think
did they?
did they win?
They might have covered. I don't know. Did they win?
I don't know. I have to go back and look.
Yeah, and that's like, and then, you've got teams like,
Yeah, they did. They won 29-24. So
oh, that was the
I
Jameis game. Yeah, that was the Jameis
yeah,
game.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I mean, it's just like one of those things. Like, I don't know how the teams that are like quote unquote supposed to win, because and that's what I mean is like so like take someone who just watches football, maybe does fantasy but doesn't bet,
right.
and you tell them the Kansas City Chiefs are 4-point favorites over Browns, 4.5. Is that what it was?
Yeah, 4.5, I think is what it closed.
And they go, Chiefs are going to kill the Browns. Most years that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
This year, absolutely killed them.
Yeah,
But most years, I don't think that spread would have been 4.5
right.
because Kansas City wasn't as good. And Detroit was another one. Like Detroit was just they were just beating the shit out of everybody. And then there was one game I forget who they were playing, and it's like I heard many people go. It was always in Indy. It was
Yeah,
Detroit and Indy 6.5. Indy sucks. Very bad fucking team. And people like in the industry kept going, I don't know, Detroit 6.5, like, maybe that should only be like, 4.5, 5. And I'm like, I don't agree. I
yeah,
go, the Colts are terrible. And the Lions are gonna fucking pummel them. It's dome teams, like
yeah,
whatever. Wasn't even fucking close. I think they
yeah.
hung 50. And
So I think a great example of that, like you mentioned, take like your average everyday, whatever, maybe you don't bet on games. It's our pool, right? Our pick'em pool. Shout out to the Sarcasm Speaks pick'em pool. There are 21 people in our pool this year. It's smaller, right? We downsized this year a little bit than we have in years past, but still, there's 21 people in our weekly pick'em pool. The top. So again, let's as a refresher, right? 52.5% is break even, right? So
on minus 110,
on
yes.
minus 110 juice, right? So what we do, right, for anyone that's not familiar, if you're not in the pool, we pick every single game against the spread all year long. Mostly, right? We don't pick the Thursday
Yeah,
night
Thursday.
games, but we pick, almost every game against the spread throughout the year. Only the spread, no totals, no nothing, just the spread. So again, 52.5% on 110 juice is breaking even. There are 21 people in our league this year. There's one, two, three, four, five people below 52.5% picking
That's
in our
actually kind
pool.
of crazy.
So the first place in our pool is Cunty Chris, right? He's just having an unbelievable year. He's picking at 63.2%,
Yeah, that's crazy.
which is absurd, right? So from there, and again, we still have 3 weeks to go, but it's 56.8, 56.8, 56.8, right? There's the second, third, and fourth are tied. Then you have 55.4%, 54.9 is two people. Then in eighth place is Vinny with 59.2. He has a higher percentage, but he was too
And
hungover to
missed a
make his
week.
picks in week two. So
There's
uh,
someone
he
else too that's high.
he would be in second place, assuming
Someone missed back-to-back
he
weeks.
didn't miss his picks in week two. Um,
There's probably another 60 in there.
there is, yeah, I'll get to it. So then in ninth place, we have a three-way tie at 54.4%. So 12th place is Nick. Shout out to Nick, friend of the show, 53.4%. 13th is Neil at 52.9. Then in 14th, you have Lisa, who's 52.4. So she's the first person in, at 14th in our league of 21 people to be under 52.5%. However, there's an asterisk there because the 15th place person is, I think that's Brett Schricker, who's picking at 60.3%.
Missed back-to-back weeks.
So he missed back-to-back weeks, but he's hitting 60.3%. So then if you go further down the list, right? So then it's two people at 51 and a half and then 51. And then the bottom three people in the league, one of them is 52.9%, right? He's just missed some weeks. Then it's 45.1%, which is admittedly not very good. And then the last person is Pat, actually. Is that Pat the lefty? At 53.7. So again, some of that you get goofy at the bottom because people miss weeks here and there. But out of 21 people in our league, again, only one, two, three, four, five people are below the break even line. And only one person is below 50%.
Yeah, I was gonna say most years 56% would probably win it.
Yeah. So I went back too, right? So um I don't have the percentages, right? So you can go back and look at previous years' winnings. So I don't have the percentages, but I do have the total, right? The total points. So keep in mind, we still have 3 weeks to go, but I'll give you the total points as like a rough estimate of how people generally did. So again, Cunty Chris at 63.2%, 15 weeks through the season, he has 259 points. Remember that number, 259. And then we'll pick like, some let's pick not Vinny because he missed a week, but so who's in 10th place? So 54 at the 54.4% mark. Again, 15 weeks through the season, that's 223 points. Right? So still a couple weeks to go, but they got 223 points in 10th place and Chris has 259 in first. So if I go to pool history, and I go back to 2023. Last year, Neil won the pool. Again, 3 weeks still to go, more points to collect. In the completed season of 2023, Neil in first place, 226 points. Through his full season
Amount of
would
games.
would put him in like 12th place through 15 weeks this year. And we still haven't finished this season. So let's go back to 2022, the year where I crushed it. I absolutely ran away. I didn't run away with it because Nick actually ended up being pretty close. Was there a different year I ran away with it? No, that's the only year I won. So 2022, I crushed. I hit unbelievable. 279 points.
Yeah, Kentucky Chris is gonna beat that.
Chris has 259 already with 3 weeks to go.
Yeah, we were talking about your year, the way it started, because like I was at the gym with these guys too. Like the way you started your year, people were like really paying attention. That's where like the buy my picks. That's where
Yeah.
that all started.
Yeah, yeah. So then if we go back to 2021, so 2021, there were only 256 games, right? There were less games.
Is
There was only 17
that right? Is
weeks.
that
When
all
did
it
we
was?
when did we start when did we start the
November.
18, week 18?
I think it was in 2021, wasn't it?
Okay. So regardless, 2021, Chris Freight's absolutely ran it. He boat raced everybody that year.
He's also missing a week because that was the year I started with DraftKings.
Oh, right.
I did week one DraftKings, and then they wouldn't let me do week two. So then
Yeah.
I had to find a new software.
So my 279 points in 2022 where I crushed it, Chris Freight's in 2021 had 282.
Maybe that's not factual then. No, that has to be.
So he has 282. I was in second place that year with 266.
Yep.
And then that's as far back because once you get into 2020 and before, we used to track it on an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So we only have readily accessible data through 2021. Um, but again, that just shows what an odd year this year has been, right? Because no one in our pool is, you know, legit, right? No one's a professional gambler. No one is a, hardcore football guy, if you will. You know what I mean? Like we all like football, but we don't like sit down and handicap games, every single individual game, all 272 games, right? Yeah.
2021, there were 18 weeks, but
Okay.
that's only 17 in the software.
Okay.
Because that was the first year I used. Again, I tried using DraftKings and they wouldn't let me use it for week two.
Okay.
That's a hell of a run. Holy shit. I mean, he picked crazy too, though.
Yeah, he did.
And he won that week one on DraftKings.
Yeah. So I I had a rough stretch there for a little bit. Like so 2021 I finished in second place, right? 2022 was, my fun year. And then last year I dropped down to like ninth. I had 206 points. And I think right now this season I'm in sixth place, but I mean I'm hitting at 54.9%.
Uh,
So
so this is the hard part though, because on one end you can say it's hard because we have to pick every game, but on the other side of things, if we did a say we did like a super contest
yeah.
where you pick five, I don't know how many people in that group are
Oh, like
hitting
yeah, not a chance.
even 50.
Yeah, not a chance.
Like I would be shocked with, and listen, everybody in our group is a good person, but
Right.
none of them are professional bettors
Right. So that's why I think this is
or
actually
professional
better.
handicappers.
This is better to understand what's going on, right? Because
Like
if
in
we
gen,
if
like
we
the whole,
the whole
yeah, the
picture,
whole
right?
picture.
Because
Because if we,
everyone needs to pick every single game.
yeah, because if we did a pick five, say the winner by the end of the year picked at a 54% clip,
Right.
and like maybe two people were above 50.
Yeah.
Like two additional people were above 50 because I want to say we were close to that one year. I'm not sure which year. It doesn't matter. Like you're gonna get a lot of people under 500 because not only that, because you're not picking everything.
Right.
Because that's they say the more games you pick, the more likely you'll move towards 50-50 because it's just a coin flip.
Right. Right.
But yeah, so I mean, to see us with the general person, non-professionals, non-sports book side hitting at the rates that we're hitting at, yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
And it's odd that, but like, so this is the thing though. I don't know what the sports books can really do about it because I don't think it's like a lot of coin flip games. I think it's bad football, and these teams are not even coming close to the number.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's wild. Right. Like again, I have 225 points through 15 weeks. That would have put me in second place last year.
Yep.
Again, so that means there's five people. Yeah, there's five people in the league with 227 or more points through 15 weeks that would have won last
I
year.
was gonna say though, it sounds like based off the other numbers, we got absolutely shelled last year.
Yeah,
But I
last year was a
remember,
down year.
but you know what? So if I remember correctly, I think because so here's my full disclosure. Part of my process in the pool, and I've said this before, but part of my process in the pool is I would like to win some weeks.
Right.
Because if I can win 2 weeks, then you like kind of you come out on top, whatever. And if you win
Right.
2 weeks, you theoretically should kind of be there at the end.
Right.
But in years past, I would win a week or two. I got one this year, but I would be top or I'd be bottom.
Right.
And that's because my strategy usually encompassed what do I think other people are going to play here?
Right. You got to
So
zig when
there would,
everyone else zags. Like you
right.
need to do that in a pool because you have to differentiate
Depending,
yourself from the
yes, if
pack.
because you will win more weeks that way, but you will not be in it for the overall at the end of the year
Right.
because you get too the waves are too big.
Right.
I have not been up and down as I've been more up than I ever have,
Yeah.
which no, I was bottom last week, but
You're you're in the tie for 11th with 54.4% this year.
yeah, I mean, dude, that would win in some years, but
Yeah.
and I had a bad week last week, and I think I had one other stinker. Because again, that will happen to me with the way that I pick the games.
Right.
Because I look at it just because of times where I've wagered actual money. Now, maybe this is the bad attitude, but there are times where I wager actual money on like, hey, Chargers Chiefs a couple weeks ago was a 4 point spread, Chiefs -4. And all I heard every time, oh, Chiefs can't cover. Chiefs can't cover. No one can. The Chiefs can't cover. Ooh, the Chargers. Harbaugh's got them playing. They got the run game. They're playing defense. Whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm taking the Chiefs. They're a better fucking team than whatever. And it's a 4 point spread. It's
Right.
not six
Right.
and a half. Yeah, couldn't have been any fucking more wrong. Couldn't have been any more wrong. And that will happen. I will have weeks like that because there are weeks where the public wins. It's just for
Right. It
a year and a
happens.
half or a season and a half almost, like
Yeah.
probably, I don't know, week like 9 of last year to now. It's just been fucking hard.
Yeah. You know how it's been goofy? Chris Freitz is hitting at 51% this year. He's in 18th
He's not doing
place
good.
out of 21. So
And he's always been the top for
if I
years.
go to the history, right? Last year, he finished sixth. 2022, he finished fifth. 2021 was the year he boat raced everyone. And then I think when we were keeping it just on the Excel spreadsheet, he was
He was good
always
then
kicking
too.
around the top two. He's in 18th place this year.
Yeah.
And it's one of those like,
Well, it
I mean,
sucks too because you gotta because the way you should evaluate your performance is over. time. Like
Right.
you hear, like professionals will always say shit like that. Like, I don't care how you are over 100 bets. I want to know how you are over 1,000 bets, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost at 1,000 games, or we're over 1,000 games, but like we've got like 1,000.
Yeah.
If we do it again next year, I just need some more people, and I'll do it. But
Yeah, it was
um,
weird. This was just a weird year. We just went down.
I lost some people that so I was not organized going into the season, so I didn't get it out there early enough.
Yeah.
And I lost some people that I thought would have continued.
Yeah.
So,
We had almost 30 last year. I think we had like 27.
yeah, but I don't think we had many weeks where everybody picked
Yeah.
last week,
Okay. Yeah,
last
that's
year.
that's fair.
I remember paying out a lot of like 115s last year, so that's like 22,
Yeah.
23, whatever, 23. But yeah, I lost a couple guys last year and the year before that like I thought would have stayed.
Yeah.
Um, so that's it because I would like to have enough people where if you win one week, it pays for your year.
Right. Right.
Um, and we didn't quite get that. We're close, but we didn't quite get that all year.
Yeah.
But again, that was like kind of like leading into my honeymoon. I wasn't prepared. We had bought
Yeah.
the house.
Right. Right. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, so it's like I didn't get it out there. I still feel like I'm organizing it perfectly fine, but
Yeah, no, for sure.
not I didn't get the blood that or like some new blood to offset the old.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, but if we do it again, dude, Chris could end up in fucking fourth next year.
Right.
And it's like in the grand scheme of things, you can get absolutely shelled for a season,
Right.
but you do 10 seasons and it's like 90% of the time I finish top six.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that
It's like,
one
but
off
what, but
year.
what about that one year? It's like if I was wagering my own money, I would have got fucking killed.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it happens, right?
It does. That's why you need to know. You gotta fucking pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you just bet the Navy fucking first half over because Sammy P told you to and it hits. Like fucking
Yeah.
fairly easily.
Yeah. Yeah, I hit that and I hit the game over too. So,
Yeah. I don't know. I might actually like look at the games going into it, but I have something tomorrow. Oh, I have Classic Gary tomorrow. That's not that big of a deal.
shout out to Classic Gary.
Yeah, he still doesn't know shit.
How's the new spot over there, by the way?
Gary spot?
Yeah, like the new they built a new
Hmm.
section,
Yeah,
right?
it's good. It's good. Yeah, I mean it's like a whole building. They've got four screens.
Oh, nice.
Um,
You can still hit out, right?
no,
No, it's
no,
all inside.
all inside.
Okay.
Now they may still have their net out back for like the shop, but
Yeah.
for the lessons and stuff, the lessons in the club fitting, it's all inside on screens.
Okay.
And they got a little putting spot, and I think there's some putting technology.
Did they
Um,
completely get rid of the practice area or did they just condensed it, made it smaller?
so I think so it doesn't look like they used up any of the practice area.
Okay. All
The
right.
building, so this is insane because people don't, if you've been to Joe and Lee's, so like where Joe and Lee's shop was,
Yeah.
their front door, like
Ex
you would usually take the stairs to go down to it.
right.
So when you get to the bottom of the stairs, you just go left.
Yeah,
And
I've been there since the construction was done,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I
So
I just haven't been inside of that building on the left, like the new structure.
yeah, but I don't think it goes that far back. I think it just ate up
Okay.
parking, maybe.
Because it used to be, and maybe it still is, right? If for in the shop, like the when you walk through the main door of the shop, the registers on your right, there's a door like
Yeah,
straight into the
straight
left to go
left.
upstairs to hit off the
Yeah,
mats
so I
to
think that
demo the
they may have
clubs.
eaten up a little bit of that space, but I think you can still hit into the net.
Okay.
There's just no technology up there.
Yeah.
I think it's all in the building.
Okay. All right. So actually, we went real long on sports betting, go figure, right? But we got to follow up from Sunday. I got to know. I've wanted to text you yesterday and ask how the water heater went, and I was like, oh,
Oh,
I'll save
yeah. I
and get a
mean,
real-time reaction.
no, they came out first thing, like uh came out first thing. He probably worked on it 2.5 hours
Oh, that's not bad.
in between that. Um, got it back up and going. Like that was the thing is like no one like told me it's like, oh shit, like you might need to replace the whole system or like
Yeah.
I don't know if we can fix it. Like everyone I spoke to was pretty confident they knew exactly what to do. It was just couldn't do it till Monday, whether it was staff or supplies, both, or the timing of. I don't know. So
Right, right.
yeah, I don't know, 2.5 hours, and he was done.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
What was it? Like, did he say what it
So
was?
he
Like what he needed
changed
to
out that.
replace?
So the we kind of went over this as non HVAC guys. So like the heating coil is what makes my water hot because I don't have
Right,
a tank.
right.
He replaced the coil in like I think he replaced the whole coil system, not
Okay.
just like the literal coil. And then while he was there doing some stuff, he changed some valves and knobs and whatever else.
Yeah. Did the string work? Did you try
No,
it?
I did not.
Well,
Yeah, I just made like a levee of towels.
oh wait,
Almost rivaled the
those are the
size of the
levies,
real
huh?
ones, and it almost rivaled the size of the real ones in New Orleans,
Yeah, it doesn't take much to get close to those.
like 6 feet high.
Yeah, I was just say it's like 4 bags of sand. It's fucking wait, those
Uh,
are the levies? Oh, I can't imagine how those didn't hold back a
That'd be
fucking
great.
massive hurricane. The fuck? It's literally like the play sand aisle in Home Depot is probably bigger than the fucking levees in New Orleans.
I also hope that in like where people actually live, I hope they have higher levees, like maybe some actual walls,
I would
and
hope so.
not just like the sandbags. Because the thing is, like where you see the sandbags, if you do look around, like there's not really a lot around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like almost if it does go, like, eh. But yeah, no. So I mean, the heat's good now, or I mean, the heat was always fine. It's just not fucking squirting water.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. It could have been way fucking worse.
Well, it's just like, and yeah, okay. So and again, I don't know what it would have cost to replace the whole system, but like, assuming that we had the cash, like to afford it, it's like again, it's like it's not a hard thing because they'll just replace the whole thing. Like
Right.
there are certain things where and we had when we were looking at a building, we had one guy say this and he was being a little bit of a dick about it, but there's actually some truth behind it. And like, we asked something like, "Oh, hey, could this get blown out?" He goes, "Oh yeah, easily." He goes, "All it takes is money." And it's like there's some truth behind that because like there are things that are easy if you have the money to do it. So it's like HVAC is one of those things. Like if you have the money to afford it or can handle it, whatever, it's a very easy fix to replace the whole system.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Very simple, very easy. Same with an oil tank. Really easy fucking project. It's
Yeah.
just going to cost you 4 grand.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, like that's the other thing. It's like the thing that was so frustrating about the process was that there was nothing I could do. And if I didn't act, my basement was going to be flooded. Not flooded, but like I was going to be vacuuming up water periodically.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like I can either go down every hour and get ahead of it, or I can vacuum up the fucking concrete every 4 seconds. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it
I
is
mean,
funny that you say that though too, because the being in like the commercial construction world now, it literally like you can do anything, you just need the
yeah,
money.
but there are some things that are not so easy. Like
Yeah, it might not be
same
easy,
with
but you
commercial
can still get
construction,
it done.
like commercial construction. Well, yeah, but like commercial construction, like you got to get a permit or you got to get
Yeah.
this or if you do work in Boston, it has to be
Trying to do
like
literally anything in San
union, like
Francisco is a
right.
fucking pain in the ass.
Um,
But like
so
we
it's
have
like,
yeah, there you go.
well, so you know, when my guy was looking at the basement, he goes, "Hey, we might be able to get these columns out of here." I'm like, "Really? Don't they hold the house up?" He goes, "Well, yeah, but." He goes, there are ways, and he goes, you look around, like he's looking at, he goes, whatever. He goes, there's, there is a scenario where potentially these can go,
Right,
and it opens up the room. That is not so easy because that requires an architect to make sure that you can do that.
right.
Then it requires probably some code because that technically you're changing the structure of the house, I believe. Um, and
Yeah.
especially building permits, I think they're mostly like bureaucratic bullshit, but I think there is a safety element to most of them.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably like 90% bureaucratic bullshit,
Yeah.
10% safety.
Yes, but so it's like that would fall into like the safety element of things.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah, even with all the money in the world, like that would be a pain in the ass.
right,
Like, gotta do the architect, gotta do this, gotta make sure it's right. You're gonna be adding to it. And then when you actually start doing it, how's it gonna turn out?
right, right.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, there's AC install, very easy project. Just cut the check.
Yeah. Yeah, like we have a different project in San Francisco where we're trying to go into an old Bank of America space
That should be awesome.
and there's a vault there because it was a bank, right? There's a massive
Oh
vault.
yeah, okay. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, you told me this when we drove to Medford, but yeah,
Yeah. So the architects we had and the GCs go in and like pop out some ceiling tiles and cut around it so they can get above it and look at it. And it's a vault within a vault, right? So between the amount of like concrete and sheet metal and steel that they used to build this thing originally, it's effectively a vault within a vault. And so, my company was like, all right, well, let's get a quote, right? And let's explore a partial demo of the vault versus a full demo of the vault. And the full demo came back at like $500,000. And everyone was like, all right, cool, let's do the full demo. And I was like, oh, like we don't want to even explore like the partial demo. Like, yeah, it's only $500,000.
boy, stop asking stupid ass
And
questions.
I was like, okay, all right. So we're not going to try and save any money there with that one. And then they
Not
have
your money.
to
You can't keep
come.
it.
Well, yeah, no, true. It's not money. So one of the project managers, we were in a meeting somewhere, and it came up, and she's hilarious. I don't know where she's from, but she's got like a almost like a New York, New Jersey accent type of thing. She's probably from Rhode Island, honestly. Like, because
Oh,
people from Rhode Island randomly have fucking New York accents for some reason. Um, but she made a comment about how she was running a project and she was like, $700,000 under budget, right? And she was like, yeah, it's great. And everyone made the joke, like everyone's boss was like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, saving the company money. And she just laughs and goes, yeah, I don't know. Hold on, let me check my pockets. She goes, oh, I don't see any of that money. I'm not gonna get
sure
any of
don't.
it.
That's my thing. I'm like, why would you even give a flying fuck about what
Yeah,
a large company like that
right,
is fucking spending?
right. So yeah, we have to completely rebuild the rear facade and rear entrance of the building. I think that's also going to cost like $500,000. So just
Not
between
your money.
the vault demo and rebuilding the rear entry is $1 million.
So
And it's like,
here's the
yeah,
other
okay.
piece too. This is a semi-new job for you. You probably have some frame of reference. For what we're talking about, $1 million might not be a lot of money.
No, it's not. I mean, the
Now, to me
project
and you, it
budget I think
is,
is like probably 5 million.
but like that's the thing. I mean, if you worked for Pfizer
Oh yeah.
and they're like, "Hey, we have this old lab," and you go, "Oh, it's kind of in tough shape. Like we could probably like rehab it," and they just go, "Blow it up then."
Yeah,
It's
dude,
like,
when
well, hey, that might co it
Sanofi,
might. It's like it might cost you 10 million to blow it up. We don't care.
yeah, they don't give a shit. When Sanofi built their two brand new buildings in Cambridge Crossing, the ones that are like right next to the Zachem that you can see right before you go into the tunnel.
Oh, is that technically Cambridge?
Yeah, well, technically
Okay.
it's the line because it's
Okay.
just hilarious because when we moved,
Do they have to put a line through the building?
yes, so when we moved Sanofi in there at my last job, the the city line ran through the lab building. So if you were on whatever, I forget what it was, but if you were on like the west side of the building, you were in Cambridge. And if you were on the east side of the building, you were in Boston. So they had an office building and a lab building right next to each other. The office building was fully in Boston. The lab building straddled the line between Boston and Cambridge, which made it such a fucking pain in the ass because anytime you wanted to do anything in the building, any sort of anything, you needed to get approval from both the city of Cambridge
That's
and the
awful.
city of Boston.
That's
That
absolutely
was an
awful.
absolute fucking disaster. But regardless of that, just those two buildings to build them, not you know, move all the labs from Cambridge, Framingham, Waltham that we did, not do any of that stuff, not handle any
Because
of the
none because
equipment,
because
not
whatever number
purchase
you're
the
about to say,
equipment
none of that matter. None of that is even remotely expensive.
to build, to construct a lab, a 10 floor office building and a 12 floor lab building next to each other. $1 billion with a B. Just to build the structures was a
Yeah.
billion
You
dollars.
think they give a fuck what it
No,
costs to
they don't give a
move?
fuck. Because we looked it up one year. I forget what it was, but I think it was maybe 2022. They had a gross revenue of like $43 billion. They don't give a fuck about $1 billion.
Does not matter.
A
Does not
billion
matter.
dollars to build two buildings, right?
That's the
Who
same
gives a
thing. Like
shit?
imagine someone like in that building being like, "Well, we could save like 100K if we did this," and it's like,
Yeah,
dude, who cares?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Just the amount of money that they spend. And it's the like the funny joke that everyone makes like going around. And this isn't just them, it's all pharmaceutical companies that we worked with. Everyone that works there makes the joke about like, "Oh, if you ever wonder why drugs are so expensive, it's all of this." Go, it's not the drugs themselves. It's we have to pay for the buildings and we have to pay to move into new buildings and do this with the lab and get this new piece of equipment. Like they had a they had a robot that they moved from a different part of Cambridge over there, and they had to fly in the engineers from Sweden. The only people in the entire world that knew how to disassemble and reassemble this massive, like, I'm saying this robot is probably as big as like your entire first floor, right? Like it's massive, right? They had to bring them in from Sweden to disassemble. It took them like a month. And then because there's only like six people in the world that do this, they had to go travel the rest of the world doing their job. And then like 4 months later, they came back to reassemble it and put it all together in the new space. And I found out, I forget how much it cost like to purchase, but just in maintenance every year, it's $1 million.
It's nothing.
Just $1 million every year in
It's nothing
maintenance.
though. That's
And
like
it's
10
nothing, right?
bucks.
It is nothing. But it's again the joke of why are drugs so expensive? Well, you have a robot that costs $1 million just for maintenance every year, let alone like again to move it, to buy it. Who knows what it cost to buy? It was probably like $30 million.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah,
There's
it's insane.
nothing.
The amount of money that's in that like just that biotech world uh is mind blowing. It is actually unfathomable, right? To think that a company would gross $43 billion. And they're not even the biggest one. Right? Like remember whatever I forget what Pfizer was pulling in, 2020 and 2021. I I think they were in the hundreds, right? Weren't they in like it was like $115
I don't
billion
even
dollars or
remember, but
something like that?
it was just it was preposterous.
Yeah. So let's see. How much money did Pfizer make in 2021? Let's see what ChatGPT has to say. Pfizer reported $81.3 billion in revenue for 2021, largely driven by the sales of its COVID-19 vaccine, which accounted for about 36.8 billion. In hindsight, probably not the best business model, where almost half, right? If you round it up to 37 billion, 37 out of the $81 billion that you made that year came from one thing.
Yeah. Wouldn't call it super sustainable.
Yeah, what is that like? Call it like 45% of your income that year came from a single product. Yikes.
I would agree.
Yeah. Well, you want to wrap this up?
We can wrap this up.
All right.
So I think one of the last kitchen updates I had was the whetstone.
Yes,
Um, and that worked out. I mean, took some trial and error, whatever. Like knife's definitely sharper, reps, blah blah blah. Did you end up buying one? Did
I did. Yeah, I got the same one.
you end up fucking around with it?
I did. Yeah, I actually had an old knife. Um, so I was using that.
Yeah. So
So
I mean,
I watched a couple videos. It makes way more sense now because I used it a couple times and then I was like, doesn't really feel that much sharper, right? And then I watched a couple videos and now I understand like the mechanism of how everything works. Like when you like the different ways, like some guy showed like the back and forth short strokes, right? To then like the long strokes in one direction. And he's like, you're trying to create a burr, right? So if you have the tip of a knife, you create a burr this way, and then you do it on the other side, you create a burr that way, and then it snaps it off, and then the 6,000 grit like polishes each way. I'm like, oh, that makes way more sense when I see videos and like see it explained like that. Trying to read it off a fucking, 8.5 by 11
yeah,
instruction piece of paper. Oh, here's how to use your whetstone. I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm doing it right.
yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, though. It's like so my knife was so it's like I tried going like with like the short, like the back and forth, and I'm like, it didn't really feel like it did anything. I'm like, yeah, because you already have an edge, dumbass. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like you don't need that method
Right.
because you weren't outside banging it off a fucking sidewalk or whatever the guy was doing. But so one thing was I was using like one of the knife blocks, but my chef's knife was not for that block. So actually, it technically didn't really fit the right way.
Ah, yes.
So I'm like, well, this is retarded. If I'm going to spend the time sharpening this stupid ass knife, I go, this makes no sense to continue using this.
Right.
So I got the magnetic knife block
Yeah.
and for me, would recommend, highly recommend because for the last couple of years, my knife block hasn't even fit where I've had it. Actually, since Mansfield, because we had them on the island.
Right.
Like mine did not fit on the cabinets in Milton. It fit kind of where I had it now, but this knife block, I like it a lot better, or the magnetic one. And then I know I'm not fucking up the edge.
Yeah.
So would recommend. I don't think it's as big of a deal, like honestly. It'd be like one of those things like if you do get like a new knife, you probably don't want to be throwing it in the block like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking banging it up all
That
the
would be my
time.
guess. Like if you
Yeah.
get if yeah, like if you were to get like a premium knife or something,
Right.
probably doesn't make sense to put it in a block.
Probably
But
not.
um yeah, the magnetic one though, I do like it. Seems like I can fit more shit in a smaller area too.
I've thought about trying to get a like a magnetic strip for above the stove. I just throw them
Yep, I've
on
seen the
above the
strips before
stove.
too. I just I didn't see where I was gonna put a strip, and I didn't want to cover up the backsplash that we had redone.
Yeah, it's that's a fair point. Yeah.
So I opted not to get the strip for those reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Um, my final thought is a quick shout out to Capp's Deli in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, um, which is where I spend most of my time when I have to go to Philadelphia because that's where the new office is. Um, I actually don't go to Philly, right? Like I fly into Philadelphia because that's where the airport is, but like I don't spend any time in Philadelphia. Like one of the offices is in Fort Washington, and then our new office is in Conshohocken. Um, so they're all suburbs of Philadelphia. But I was there yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. It was Monday. Um, and I had some time to kill before I went back to the airport and I was hungry, but it was one of those like it's like 11:15, right? Or no, I think at the time it was like 10:30. By the time I got there and ordered my food, I think it was 11:15. But it was like 10:30 and I was like, there's not really a lot of places open, whatever. But I found this thing. It was called Caps Deli, right? And I recognized the logo on it, and it's the same. I have no idea if they're connected, right? If it's like just their shtick, or if this is where they came from. I don't think it's where it came from. But you know the Andy Caps, like hot
I'm looking
fries.
at it now.
Yeah, it's the same logo. So I don't know if there's any sort of connection there, or they just happen to name it that and then steal the logo. And it's Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, so they're not gonna get a fucking they're not going to get a cease and desist, right? Because no one's going there. Um, but I got so you're looking at the menu right now.
Yep.
I got what's it called? Ralph and Eric legendary something remembrance tribute.
Oh, ooh, okay. Specialty sandwiches.
Yeah. Uh,
Uh,
Rick and
Frank and Eddie.
yeah, Frank and Eddie. There it is. The Frank and Eddie, the tribute.
Salami, ham, domestic ham, ham cap, and
It's
domestic ham. What
it's
was it?
cap.
Prosciutto?
Yeah, so it's capicola.
Oh,
So it's
so it's
salami, capicola,
then regular
ham,
ham.
yeah, and then peppers and
Fr
onions.
fried onions, sweet peppers, marinara, provolone.
Yes. So they basically like take it all, they throw it on the griddle, they cook it up, they mix it up, they throw it on the sandwich, they toss some marinara on there, and it is fucking delicious. So, but it is one of those places where it's tiny, right? And again, this was like, 10:45 when I was there because I was trying to find a place that was open early. And wouldn't you know, when I walk in, it's like a skinny ass hallway, right? It's kind of a little reminiscent of Bob's, right? In Medford, except it's narrow. Like the actual walkway is like between the deli case, the two deli cases on either side, right? Like if you took out the metal racks that they have in the middle, like that's the whole place, right? And it just goes straight down. Um, and it's full of construction guys because at 10:30 in the morning, they're eating lunch because they started their day at 6 a.m. So they probably ate breakfast at
So
4:30 and at 10:30 it's their lunchtime. So I immediately walked in, I see all these construction guys and I go, "Ooh, I bet you this place is fucking good." Right? Cuz they don't fuck around, right? Like they construction guys know. They know where all the good food is. And yeah, they were right. My guess was correct. This place is fantastic. So if you ever happen to find yourself in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, um, you got to go to Capp's Deli. So I will be going back the next time I go there. I think I don't have to go there until January, but I'm going there twice in
I'd be
January.
interested in their roast pork, which the only reason I'd be interested in that is because I that's a Philly thing.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if the sandwich itself is any good. And then they don't do it. Do wait, does Philly do Italian beefs or does Chicago do Italian beefs?
I think Chicago does Italian beef.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say so it's because
Philly does their day cheesesteak.
they've got the Uncle Frank's hot pork, which is South Philly style roasted pork sandwich with provolone, roasted peppers, Italian greens, and then they also have just a hot roast pork sandwich. Um, I'd be interested in those.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was between the Frankenetti, the hot roast pork, and then they have the Philly special, I think, or something like that. The classic Philly, whatever the fuck it's called.
Was it just like a cheesesteak?
Yeah, but it's called it has some stupid fucking name. It was the three sandwiches that I was between. Um, and I was like, I'll go with the Frankenetti's. But I think next time I go back, I'll probably try the roast pork.
Yeah,
I don't have any affinity towards like, oh, you're going to Philly, you got to get a cheesesteak. Like I really just I get it. It's probably fine, but like I can get a steak and cheese sandwich anywhere and have it be pretty good, right? Like
yeah, but
I
isn't that
don't
like not the point?
yeah.
Isn't well, no, like isn't that the point? Like it's different than a steak and cheese.
Yeah, they use Cheese Whiz. I got it at the airport, at the Philly airport one of the times because I didn't have enough time. Like it was just a quick turnaround by the time I landed and needed to get back and got done what I needed to get done. So I got the Philly cheesesteak. Again, it was a restaurant at an airport, so you know, it is what it is, right? It's not Cap's Deli. But again, it's a steak and cheese with onions and they have like goofy melted cheese on it. It's just not they don't use sliced cheese. They use like liquid cheese. That's it.
Yeah, that wouldn't be for me.
Yeah, it's fine, right? Again, it's fine. I'm not trying to sit here saying that it sucks, that it's awful, I would never have it. No, I'd order it again. It's fine. But again, it's just a fucking steak and cheese. That's it. Like it's give me the Frankenetti's, right? Give me the roast pork. Give me something crazy. Like don't try and pass me off as steak and cheese as something that, oh man, you got to try this. It's going to knock your socks off, pal. I bet you it won't.
Somehow I doubt that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the cheese whiz thing, like I'm out on cheese whiz. So it's like if you wanted to offer me a steak and cheese with provolone in, but again, I'm not like I mean, I'm sure I'd have one to have one, but I'm not interested in the whole thing. And then whether it's Pat's or Geno's, whatever. And if you don't know how to order, it's like get in the back of the line. I got no fucking, you know what? I got
Yeah.
no fucking time for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, if you don't know how to order, bro, I'm from fucking Boston. I don't know how to order. So how about
Yeah.
this? Just get me something fucking decent and we'll move on with our fucking lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, only for the locals then. No, this is the biggest fucking tourist trap in the world.
So yeah, fuck you, Philly cheesesteak. Again, it's fine,
Never had
right?
one. I again, I can't have a strong opinion because I never had one, but yeah, someone would have to explain to me the main appeal.
Right. Yeah. So I'll tell you, I think I'm going back January 9th. It's the next time I'm there.
Yeah,
I'll
while you're
uh
up,
I'll tell you how the roast pork is.
yeah, while you're up, grab me one.
Yeah. Oh, you can bring food through TSA.
Yes, you can.
So
Don't bring me one.
imagine sitting on a fucking plane next to someone with a bag of a roast pork sandwich.
They don't even eat it either. They're bringing it home.
Yeah. Dude, that happened to me on one of my flights home one time. Some guy was eating a fucking chicken parm sandwich. I was like, what are you doing? Like he literally had a chicken parm sandwich that he pulled out of a bag and
You know,
started eating it on the plane. And I was
so
like, what is this?
I was gonna say, so like, don't get me wrong, like plain food sucks. So it's like, if you were to go somewhere that was good, get something to bring with you, and like that's like your like lunch or whatever. It's a 1 hour flight. You don't need to eat a chicken parm on a flight from Philly to Boston.
Seriously. And then my
If it
flight home
was,
yesterday, some guy was eating a fucking bag of Aunt Annie's pretzels. Which
that's fine.
that's the one
That's
thing I
fine.
will say actually. The Philadelphia pretzels, those are fucking good. So one of the times I went down, the the GC showed up in the morning, like the senior project manager showed up in the morning because GC is always there. The guys are always working. But the senior PM showed up with a fucking bag bigger than my head, like a market basket paper bag, right? Like a grocery store paper bag full of pretzels. And he like drops the bag on the table where like all the construction guys are huddled and he goes, "Oh, I got fresh pretzels from wherever." And I'm sitting there and he goes, "You ever had a Philly pretzel?" I go, "No, I haven't." He
Never even
goes,
heard of such a
"Yeah." I
thing.
was like, "I didn't even know Philly was famous for their pretzels." And he goes, "Here, take this." And he pulls out a whole fucking pretzel. I shit you not. It was this big. I know if you're not watching on YouTube, you can't see, but it's bigger than my head, right? It was fucking huge. And whatever the place was, I think they made their own mustard, right? Or they at least they private labeled it because they had the like then the sticker was their restaurant on it. It was really fucking good. And he was like, "Yeah, what do you think? What do you think about the pretzels?" And I go, "That was fucking incredible." And he goes, "Yeah." He was like, I like going down to Philly and I like the guys there because they're all just fucking. I mean, part of it is they're just construction guys, so we're all the same and we get along because we're just dirt bags. Um, but they're great because they just fucking rag on each other. They're like, "Oh yeah, you fucking pretzels." Like one of the guys was like, "Oh, you got pretzels in Boston?" I was like, "No, no, we don't have pretzels up
Nope,
there."
never heard of it.
Yeah, I've never seen a pretzel before. He goes, "I bet you they're not fucking good as this." I go, "They're not, but still, like, it's a pretzel. Like
Yeah,
they're
listen, like, sir, I told you your pretzel's good,
yeah,
but like, let's remember, it's a fucking pretzel.
yeah, yeah." The site super. I was shooting the shit with him, and it like when I first met him, he was like tiptoeing around. It was back in it was probably like October. So it was right before the election, and he was like tiptoeing around, being like, "Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully things change a little bit, for the better in a couple weeks, and we'll see how things go. But whatever, this and that." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I hope shit gets fucking better because it's trash now." And he goes, "Oh yeah, so you're I think you probably think the same way I do." And I go, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna probably vote for Trump." And he goes, "Oh fuck yeah, thank God." And he goes, then he just let loose and he was like, "Fuck these people and
Talk
fuck
about
that."
dancing
And
around it. Holy shit.
yeah, well, I mean, he doesn't know me, right? I'm technically like his not his boss, but like in a way, right? I'm his client, right? So he doesn't want to, you know, piss the wrong people off, I guess. But yeah, once I was like, yeah, man, like you're good. He just was like, oh yeah, this whole fucking thing, they suck, this, that. Now every time I'm there, he's just talking shit. So, but they're all good guys. But again, I think that's more of a construction thing versus a Philly thing. It's just the Philly flair, right? Like their funny accents they got.
I don't really even know affiliate what I would doesn't
Yeah, I
do
couldn't
not
even do one.
do not
I
fucking
can't.
try.
I can't even attempt it. I don't spend enough time with that, like listening to them. But yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. So thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe up above. Hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you're an audio only guy. Leave us a review and 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is sarcasm_speaks. Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. Website, sarcasmspeaks.com. Check out the show notes. Support the sponsors, support us. And until next time, good night, everybody.